All right. We're live. We'll let people start to register, start to get their notifications here. But we are live, rocking. All right, we have a special introduction this morning.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wake Up with Garret. Get Up with Garret. I'm Garret's daughter, Juliet. I just wanted to say that my dad has been working so hard to set up this podcast. He wants to share all of his fun work adventures. Garret won Most Talkative in high school one year. Please subscribe to his YouTube channel where you can watch this live. I love you, Dad, and good luck with your podcast. Thanks for listening to this little intro, everybody.
There you go.
Wow.
Wait, that's an intro right there.
Dougie Bricks, you could not pay for that.
You can't. I need tissues now.
That is
a tear to your
authentic.
Yes.
My first girl, Juliet, is home sick, recovering a little bit, and just a big shout out to her and her mom and her sister Harper. I love you guys so much and hope you feel better. And thank you for that shout out and that intro on the podcast. That definitely gets me up, me going. That's what it's all about, babe.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
And we want to remind you guys, this is interactive. So if you ever have a question, please put it in the comment section. And we have some comments already. Juliet saying, "It's me. Hi, Dad." Jeff saying, "Poor Juliet, feel better." At least it's not COVID.
Yes, Jessica. Yes. Yeah, we've had like 8 COVID tests already. It's not COVID. Kids can get sick, Dougie. Yep. I think people forget with what we went through. Kids get back to school, little colds, allergies. Personally, I get like change of temperature, which usually lasts about 24 hours for me. Yeah. But yeah, it's great. It's great to be back. This is kind of the kickoff to the fall season, and hopefully everybody finished up their summer vacations, had a happy New Year with the Jewish holidays, and of course Labor Day, and now kind of getting started. And I did get back from Maine. We did a kind of annual little family getaway to Kennebunkport to visit the Bushes. They've got this beautiful compound, incredible piece of real estate. We are not friends or guests of the Bushes, but we definitely love to go stop by and see that piece of real estate. But we go to Kennebunkport and we had a wonderful time. We had dear friends of ours, Alan and Kate, there with their kids.
Nice.
And my sister Jamie stopped by for a couple of days on their way to Cape Cod with their kids.
Is that my cue for the picture?
I think so. I think so. So we had
to make sure.
couple funny things. I don't know how this happened, but we all got the same Maine sweatshirt.
Nice.
Right. And literally I wear this once a year. This is my Maine sweatshirt. And I won't say who, but somebody did forget their Maine sweatshirt this year. They had to borrow one and then do a little photoshopping to get this photo. So very, very impressed with the Maine skills.
Nice.
So kind of a funny quick story about resilience. So I took my kids out. We rented kayaks in Kennebunkport, went on the Kennebunk River. And we go out with Alan and his kids, and we're doing our thing. And the currents get a little tough, but we're hanging in. And in the middle of this kayak trip, my row, the oar literally breaks in half. Okay. And the photo you have up there now is kind of on the way out. Right. That's on the way out. You can see it's one long oar, right? So this thing literally snaps right in half on the way back. The current is now definitely stronger than what I thought. And my first inclination was like, what are we going to do? Right. And so for half a second, I was like, oh gosh, this is horrible. Then I realized, wait a minute, we're not like straight in the ocean. There's little restaurants, there's little hotels. If we had to get out of this kayak, we could swim to shore. It's not a huge deal. Then I realized, wait a minute, one oar cut in half is just the same as 2.
Yeah.
Right. So I said, Julia,
you got help now.
You take this one. I'll take this one. Because you can only paddle on one side at a time.
Yeah.
Right. You can't do both sides. So it really wasn't that big a deal. My hand was getting a little cut up for where it snapped. And then so, we did get back to shore, and it was just a great message, I think, to the kids to say, you know what, things happen, right? It's not always going to be perfect. Sometimes you're going to be down the river and your oar's going to break.
Yeah.
And you got to power through it, and you got to remain calm. How many times in business and life you go through something challenging and tough, and you've got to approach it with calmness? That is such an important skill. So it was a great teaching moment for my kids.
And it was way better for you because now you had help.
Yes.
Rather than going back and forth, now you can
I had a little help.
1, 2, 3,
just a
go.
little help.
1, 2,
little
3,
help.
go.
Little help.
Well, Julia said yes, it's hard. So
it was hard work. She
definitely
she stepped up. But it also now it sets in my mindset the next time something like this happens, and it's not going to be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I'm going to think of is, remember that time when the oar broke, and we got through it. It wasn't the end of the world. We remained calm and we figured out how to get to the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many wonderful stories about people that get injured and still can climb Mount Everest or finish a race or whatever it is. And so you've got to dig deep. And this was not a life-threatening, scary thing whatsoever, but it sets the mindset you can do it. And you've got to challenge and program your mind that you can do it. So that was great. Now, I wanted to also tell you about a show that I started watching with Jessica and the family. Well, not the kids. and you may have recommended it, but a friend of mine, shout out to Jordan and Lisa, they recommended it because they said that this show reminded themselves of me, which I thought was a compliment.
It's a huge compliment.
Ted Lasso.
Best show ever.
Oh, my God.
Telling you.
I mean, you can comment right now, live anywhere. We're live on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Is there a better comedy in the past 10 years that you've seen? I mean, I'm thinking Seinfeld, Friends, Curb Your Enthusiasm. The Office. But count on one hand. I mean, I think Ted Lasso is in that conversation.
A great comedy with like good morals and message too. When was the last time you had
wholesome,
that?
right? Funny.
Yeah.
Just kind of that dry, English humor a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're just falling in love with this. And I know my father-in-law watched the first episode. Mm-hmm. He was like, I said, look, Pops, I will reimburse you your Apple membership if you don't like this thing. And now after like 3 or 4, he goes, I'm at number 9.
Yeah.
He's loving it.
With all shows, you got to give him like 2 or 3. You can't just watch one episode and think your life's going to change. And I thought this show's been on for a couple seasons. So when I first watched it, I crushed it. I was like, got through season 1, got through season, like, then I was like 3 or 4 episodes season 2, and they were like, gotta wait till next Friday. I was like, what? I thought season 2 was already up.
So I think season 2.
Now I'm waiting.
So season 2 is available. I didn't see it yet.
Season 2. You're not up to season 2 yet?
I only finished season 1.
Oh yeah. So season 2 is like 5 episodes, 6 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I can't wait.
I got through it, and I was like ready to keep going, and it was like, nope, not out yet. I was
you gotta
wait.
You gotta wait. You gotta wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's transition business a little bit.
Absolutely.
Here's your cue regarding Hawthorne.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of update everyone, knows the big project that we've been working on. We did the reverse resume podcast on that. So things are going ahead really well. I want to share the drone update if you have a chance to pull that up on the video. Okay, so you can see the self-storage building now. The foundation's all finished, and they're actually. This is the residential side. Okay, yeah. So here they're going to be all the plumbing is finished on the residential side here, and they're going to be laying the foundation next week. And as it comes towards the west there, you'll see the self-storage foundation now. Okay, that's the staircases for the self-storage unit. We've also about halfway with the elevator shaft there on the self-storage building. And so still dealing with a lot of earthwork and soil, but well on our way. And half the steel has been dropped off for the self-storage. So next month, the drone video will show some, remember the erector set when you were a little, kind of the building, that's what you're going to see, some of the steel and some of the wood starting. So we're super excited about that. Now, the big exciting thing for the fall, always, I know for our buddy Jeff as well, is football season.
Oh yeah,
are you excited about the start of the NFL season?
It's always bittersweet because it's the end of summer, but the start of football. And just like our buddy Jeff, I always say I hate when people start talking about pumpkin spice lattes. A month ago, because like summer's not over yet.
Too early.
Yes. But now you can start talking about your pumpkin spice lattes. Yeah. Pumpkin spice football is about to begin, so it's bittersweet. End of summer, but beginning of football. It's a interesting time.
I think it's great. It helps kind of like set your weekend and your quarters, your months, and it's really something to do. If you have nothing to do on Sunday, it's great to just hang out. A lot of people like betting $5-10 on FanDuel, being in a fantasy draft. So last night I did my fantasy draft. I'm trying to think. I ended up getting Alvin Kamara, I think, is my first pick.
Well, let's pull it up. I'm going to pull it up.
You have my team?
Yeah, I got your team.
Oh man, you are taking good care of me. I usually finish in like 4th place. I mean, I never kind of win the thing. I never kind of, finish last. But I think we've got a pretty good team.
I had Kamara last year. I had Thielen last year.
Yeah, got Josh Allen at quarterback.
That's a good pick.
Pretty good young stud in Buffalo. Got some Steelers receivers there. Shout out to any of my friends who love the Steelers. I know my brother-in-law does.
Kamara is huge. Kamara would give me 50 points a week.
Oh boy, he could be a game changer.
Yeah, 3 or 4 touchdowns a week. Nuts.
That's
like
exciting.
if he's good, like he'll single-handedly win you weeks just by himself. It's crazy. It's nuts. Great pick. Pick.
First few years, I used to pick kicker and defense too early. I gotta admit. Now I'm waiting to the end. But I still love getting a kicker and defense. I still do that before I fill out the bench. But so we finished that last night with a few of the friends. Yeah. So I was thinking, what if we could start maybe a little contest between you and I?
Absolutely.
And perhaps any of the listeners watching at home, if they want to throw in any of their comments or want to make their own bets. But I think we should maybe pick 3 games each week as we have the podcast. And then we'll see how we do at the end. Yeah.
So you make your picks, I'll make my picks, and then in the comment section, you guys at home, you can participate and say who you're going to put in the comments, and it'll be like you versus me versus them.
Absolutely. Okay. So you know what? Let's start tonight. Tonight's the kickoff of the NFL season. They are going to go nuts in Tampa for that Super Bowl trophy. Tom Brady's number 7. Now his quest for 8. And
crazy.
I mean, this man is just having the fountain of youth, obviously.
Yeah.
So you never want to bet against him in a big spot like that. They are playing the Cowboys. Yep. Dak Prescott's coming back from that just gruesome, horrendous foot injury. And I just don't think the Cowboys can have it together this early in the season, have game speed after what they went through. So the Cowboys are getting 8.5, which is a lot more than a touchdown. But I'm going to go with Tom Brady on this one and take the Bucs, giving the 8.5.
Awesome. So Dak is recovering, and Tom Brady has never felt better. So, I mean, this one has got to go to the Bucs.
You're
definitely going with Brady. Yes.
Okay.
I don't care how many points they're giving.
And by the way, I kind of feel like this season will end very similar to last season, where you see the Chiefs and the Bucs right there at the end. I feel like both those teams are bringing back. I mean, the Bucs are bringing back, I think, everybody, and they're 100% vaccinated, which means they're not going to have players miss games or miss practices, which I think is going to be a real challenge this season. And I think the Chiefs have upgraded their offensive line. So I really would not be shocked to see a rematch of the Super Bowl. Just putting that out there. So talking about the second game that I like is San Francisco at Detroit. Jimmy G is back, and I think San Francisco has really stepped up this year. I think they're a very strong team. They've always had a great defense. Shout out to my friends who from the Warriors who live out in California. But I think I'm going to pick San Francisco, giving the 7.5 to Detroit because they're bringing in. They had that trade with Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, and although I don't think Jared Goff is as bad as the Rams thought. I just think this is a big transition for them, and I don't expect to see too much out of them this year. So I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers.
Interesting. So I think Matt Stafford's going to come out. Oh, wait, no. Goff is going there.
Yeah,
right,
Stafford's on the Rams now.
Yes, all right. So I'm going to go with Goff coming out juiced up, ready to play. I'm going with Detroit.
To show up.
Yep,
there it is.
Juiced up, ready to play. Plus, it's 7.5 points they get.
That's a lot.
So I think, I think they're gonna, they might lose the game by a field goal, but they still win the spread.
There it is.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
I'll go against you on that.
Okay. The last game we're going to look at is the Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. Okay. So you've got the rookie quarterback, Mac Jones. They already cut Cam Newton after seeing Jones play in a couple preseason games. So, you got to think Belichick knows what he's doing. He thinks that that this quarterback will be the future and can take the Patriots to the next level. But I think this Miami is going to be fun and quick, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the quarterback's last name. We'll just call him Tua. But Miami is getting 3 points. So I'm going to go with Miami taking the +3 here over the Patriots.
Interesting. I think I'm going to go against you on this one too. I'm going to go with Mac Jones. They're basically 2 rookie quarterbacks. Yes, Tua's got like a half a year under his belt, but it's like, it's his first real season playing, and it's also, Mac's getting thrown into the fire. So I'm gonna go with Mac. I'm gonna go with Mac Jones. See what happens.
And the Patriots, in your defense, the Patriots don't lose too often at home.
And this kid's got to be somewhat good. They didn't even want to have Cam on the bench. He just said, "See you later, bro."
See ya.
Yeah. So
don't let the door hit you with the good Lord split you.
Juliet asks,
Yes.
Dad, you didn't get any Giants players in your fantasy team?
No. See, you have to, Juliet, when you're doing fantasy football, you have to separate your emotions. Okay, this is a business. I'm trying to win some money here in the fantasy league, sweetheart. But we should mention the Giants are opening against the Denver Broncos. So I am thrilled about the game on Sunday. It's a 4:30 game at MetLife Stadium.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Besides your picks, who are you biased towards? Who's your favorite football team?
Yeah, so I'm a lifelong Giant fan. Mm-hmm. The family has season tickets. We've had tickets forever. Our old company, Allied, used to be a corporate sponsor of the team back in the day. So we've always been tremendous Giants fans. So I try not to pick the Giants too much because I don't want to tie the emotion to it. But the Giants, I feel, are, they're close. They've had a lot of struggles at offensive line. And the last 2 weeks, I think Gettleman upgraded the line. They've also brought in some free agents. Galladay's come in. And I'm excited, obviously, to get Saquon Barkley back. And I do believe Daniel Jones is very similar to Eli Manning in terms of being calm, can make all the throws. He's quicker on his feet than Eli was. So I think next year is kind of the breakout year for the Giants, to be honest. But this year, the NFC East kind of sucks. So the Giants certainly could make the playoffs this year. And every week, to me, it's like Ted Lasso says, you got to be a goldfish. So I wake up every Sunday and I'm like, go Giants. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care how bad last week it was. I'm a goldfish. I think the Giants are going to win every week, and I'm going to bleed blue for them.
Nice.
But I'm not going to put the picks. I'm going to separate that. Okay. Is that fair?
Yes, that's very fair. Smart. Very smart.
And we're going to barely talk about the Jets on this podcast because they're just a stepchild. They're just not.
Oh, man.
They're just not New York.
Jeff's not still listening.
They're not New York royalty.
So should
Jeff.
we change your background to Giants colors?
Well, you know what? Did you give me the green and you have the blue? We should switch that.
Well, I like both Giants and the Jets, but I'm saying we can go blue and red if you want to go, big blue. We can go blue and blue. I'm just saying.
Cool.
Whatever color. What do you guys think? Put in the comment section. What do you think the color scheme should be here on the podcast?
So anyway, I think that's good to get started. I want to transition now into our special guest. We're super fortunate to have a dear friend of mine who's going to be joining us on the Get Up with Garret podcast today. A friend I've known for probably, 15 years. We're both in an incredible organization called the Young Presidents Organization together. Been to each other's weddings, watch each other's kids grow up. And I'd love to introduce, I kind of teased it as the Candyman, real life Candyman. But Lance, are you in the green room? Are you ready for us, buddy?
I am. Hey, guys. Nice to see you.
There he is. So this is Lance Stier from Nassau Candy. And Lance, appreciate you joining us on the podcast today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Now, Dougie, just want to give you the quick heads up.
Yes.
Regarding the original Candyman, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna learn about Lance's his family history and what he's been up to. But everyone loves Willy Wonka, right?
Oh yeah.
Everyone loves, and you can write in the comments if you prefer Gene Wilder versus Johnny Depp. But I wanted to show Lance something that this is from probably mid 1980s. That's me, Lance, as Willy Wonka.
I love
it. A local production of Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory. So I was at it first, man. I was at it first. There it is.
I got another picture. Got another picture
one?
too. Yeah. This is when you're on your boat.
Crew?
Yeah.
That's the whole crew, the SS Wonka.
Yes. This is before you did, and you had different kind of oars. You had the candy oars. This one.
Definitely could use a peppermint stick to get me out of the river. All right.
You look good with the candy cane. I'm impressed.
You like it?
Yeah.
Is that a good look for me?
I like it.
That costume was actually like the Joker. And so this was early 90s. Somebody gave me the Joker costume from the Batman movie.
Nice.
Right? That's another podcast. So Lance has an incredible background, incredible story, private equity, M&A, family business, multi-generational. So I thought he'd be a great guest here today, and he would help us unlock kind of some of the secret sauce to the success being an entrepreneur, being in a family business. So Lance, I thought we could start with maybe just a short, kind of real short personal background, not on the candy business, just your own kind of from college and what you did after school. That always interested me, what your path was there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, again, Garrett, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you, and obviously I see your family tuning in, which is super cool as well. And I love that intro. I thought it was terrific from your daughter. So for me, I grew up in a family business, Nassau Candies. So I always, around the dinner table every night, grew up with stories about growing the business and good things and less good things. Is kind of the entrepreneurial story is. Just 2 seconds of background on the business, and I'll talk about my sort of story. Company was founded in 1918 as a original company as a supplier to the soda fountains in New York City. So selling the soda fountains, everything from plates, napkins, cups, confectionery items, etc. And so when my dad actually bought the company, Nassau Candy, in 1984, it was that sort of business, a distributor of a range of products, of which a piece of it was still the confectionery business, and then a piece of it actually had become a tobacco business, which he got out of fairly quickly, and focused on the confectionery business. But the reason I sort of share that story is from the time I was a young guy, all the way till today, and still we're all very young in business, but still when I was younger, my entire life I grew up. Stories of the day to day. We were in the distribution business, I had the manufacturing business, and all the trials and tribulations associated with sort of evolving the business have been very much part of my life. So went to school in Philadelphia, and I met my wife there. So she was a freshman or pre-freshman when we met, but we started dating. I was a sophomore, she was a freshman. And that was 2001. We've been together ever since. So I guess it's 20 years now of togetherness, which is terrific. And after college, graduated from school, went to work on Wall Street. So I was when I first met Garrett, I was a investment banker. Working the investment banking sort of day-to-day analyst program in the leverage finance group at Lehman, and working on sort of leverage buyouts, early days, financing deals, and being involved in that sort of stuff. Principally focused in consumer and food businesses, but involved in some other things as well. And then subsequent to that, got involved in the private equity business. Was the private equity business for a while. Again,
was Lance? Was that Wellspring? Was the I remember you being at Wellspring.
So that was the first private equity fund I joined. Was Wellspring Capital.
Gotcha.
In 2006, and a bunch of the businesses that Wellspring was involved in building are businesses that you guys probably know. There's a business, one called Dave & Buster's, which is one that we helped finance, Checkers Restaurants, and then in the golf business, Edwin Watts Golf, and then probably
yes, I remember that Edwin Watts. I remember talking about that with you about the real estate. Yep.
And then we ended up, in addition, helping do a fairly high-profile carve out, and then ultimately take private and merger of a company called Vistar. What initially was VSA, then Vistar, then Performance Food Group, and that company grew from a smaller business to what today is I think a $40 or $50 billion company. And so really, really cool sort of experience. So I did that for a couple of years, and then which was great. Working in the private equity business was great, and working in a mid-sized firm as opposed to a larger firm for me was a great experience. The fund was a couple $1 billion fund. And some private equity funds that you guys might be familiar with are far larger than that. But the nice thing about being at a $3 billion fund or so versus a larger fund was sort of the ability to be very hands-on, whether it was with the companies, with the deals, et cetera. So I love that. And then subsequent to that, I joined another private equity fund called Payne and Partners, later Fox Payne, which is also in the investment business. Interesting thing at that time was it was in the middle of the previous sort of, what I would call the most, at least in my mind, present crisis. At that time, it was the financial crisis. And so
sure. Oh, wait, right.
We were involved in looking at and acquiring assets out of a range of things associated with the financial crisis. So at one point, the Icelandic banking system was blowing up. So I got very involved in Iceland, and which is a whole other story, and just various things. And so anyway, I did that for a while, but ultimately sort of made the decision to enter the family business, and I'll sort of share the background there. So I joined. I was now 7 years in investment banking and private equity, and sort of the movie looked kind of like this. We were in a situation as an investment fund where the sort of the portfolio was some good stuff, some less good stuff, and I sort of looked at a trajectory in my career. At the time, I was 28 or 29. I looked at a trajectory in my career, and I said, for the next, let's call it 5+ years, I could spend the time working on these companies, but really not getting any deal experience because the markets were kind of, at the time, hindsight's 2020, but the markets were sort of shut down. So there was really no financings going on, very little private equity, new deals going on. It was more sort of triage mode. And so I sort of was there 7-8 years of my career, and it was really the tale of two cities. It was either stay with the existing firm, work through these portfolio companies, and hope, for sort of the next fund, right, the next outcome, or which was the other opportunity for me, join the family business, which to me, what was compelling about that was people eat candy and specialty food, in good environments and less good environments. And so the movie we saw in 2008, 2009, actually, fortunately for us from a business perspective, was repeated and has been repeated most recently, which is that in the 08-09 period, our confectionery business, people were looking at confectionery products as a comfort food, as people were buying the gummy bears or the chocolate bars, et cetera, as kind of a inexpensive, feel-good moment. And on the gourmet food side of our business, we are weighted toward at-home purchases versus away-from-home purchase and more grocery and specialty stores as opposed to food service restaurants. And so what we saw in the 08-09 time period, which again has been repeated now, is people were dining more at home as opposed to away from home. And the reason that was, and you guys probably know this, if you want to feed a family of 4, I used to give the sort of the analogy that if you feed a family of 4, you take them out to a quality casual dining restaurant, you have an appetizer, you have an entree, I don't know, $70, $80, $100.
Right. Under $100, right.
That family of 4. If you buy, quality pasta with a quality pasta sauce and maybe throw, a good, depending upon on what you're looking for, a meat or a cheese or whatever you're looking for let's say $25, you create the same experience. And what's interesting is the movie that you saw in 08-09 was the exact same movie you saw now. So people were buying the basics, they were buying the staples, the basic quality pasta, but they were also buying the sauce, and then they were
Rails,
buying,
right? You got to buy the good sauce if you're gonna do that at home. Buy the Rails sauce.
That's exactly right. So our Rails comps were very, very strong. And then on top of that, people were throwing in, a sausage or a spice or whatever. So you saw those specialty products pop. And that was the movie in 08-09, and it was the same movie today. So really? I sort of was fortunate to have the opportunity to, join the business that fortunately at the time, at that time period, was stable and was strong and had a lot of room for growth. And I made that decision. And I remember vividly the conversation around leaving the private equity business.
Yeah, I want to understand that conversation with your dad and your uncle, because I went through similar conversation after living in California for 3 years, kind of always knowing I wanted to come home and have my roots here and be in the family business somehow, but a different family business. So what was that like? To kind of help the viewers understand that transition.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll share with you a story about sitting down with the head of the private equity fund, and then I'll share with you a story about the internal family dynamics. So the story with the private equity fund was the head of the firm, this guy Dexter Payne has been a mentor for me for a very long time. And I sort of sat down, and this was the summer of 2010, I believe, or 9, 10, and we sat down, and the discussion went sort of like this. I said, Dexter, I'm sort of struggling right now. The fund is doing this sort of thing. Our family business is doing this sort of thing. And he said, yeah, things will go up and down. He kind of gave me some perspective that I didn't have at the time as kind of a young professional. And he said, Lance, in 10 years' time, do you see yourself sitting in your father's seat? And this is the head of the firm, and this is an incredible investor in the private equity business. And so he says to me, do you see yourself sitting in your father's seat? Or do you see yourself sitting in a seat similar to mine? And I said to him, to be honest with you, I don't really know, because I've only been in the investment business, and I've grown up in that world tangentially as my dad's son, but I've never really run a business, because at the time I was in the investment business. I said, I don't know. And he said, well, if you don't know, you got to find out. So it was after that conversation that the switch flipped in my head, where I'd gotten this quote unquote approval, tacit approval, but approval from somebody who I regard incredibly highly in the investment business, to sort of go down this path. So that was great. And then the conversation with the family, and he stayed a friend since, and a mentor since, but the conversation with my family was a little bit different. So my dad at the time was going through his own thought process, which was, the business had grown from, let's call it at the time, I think he was probably doing 65 or 70 million. It was doing $750,000. So he'd grown it to that size. Incredible. And at that time, he was going through his own thought process, which was, I'm in my mid 50s as my father, and I'm trying to decide, am I going to run this operating company for the next 5 years, 10 years, kind of what that's going to look like for me. And I'm here as kind of this young kid saying, let's kind of saddle up, let's go for it. And he's got his own decision point of is this something that he's excited about? And so we sat down, we talked a lot about that, about, do I want to come into this business, and do I want to help kind of be involved in building this thing, and all that stuff. And there were things that went through my mind, Garrett, and you probably went through this with your own business or thought processes about,
Sure.
At the time my dad had his own team that he had hired, and that had been his team for a long period of time. And so how would I mesh with that team? Another question was, if I come into the business, I want to earn my stripes, or I want to earn respect of the team members. So that it was very clear early on that I wasn't going to be joining in the executive suite. I was going to be joining at a junior level. So I had to wrestle with two things. Number one was, economically, the private equity pay scale is different than the corporate pay
junior
scale.
level.
And the second thing I had to wrestle with was, going from an office on Fifth Avenue to an office in Hicksville, and then in Freeport, and not even an office, a manufacturing floor in those environments. And so, it was a complete culture shock. So the conversation really with my dad, the most important parts was, number one, he was excited to have, me sort of join the company, and some of my siblings as well join the company. Number two was sort of that commitment to going and building this thing together as a team was kind of going to be fun. And he got excited about it. We got excited about it. And I think the other thing that the switch flipped in my mind, that, hey, and a lot of entrepreneurs will go through this as well. Hey, I may have gone to school for XYZ sort of thing, and my training might be in all these other things. But at least for me, my experience was I could never earn the respect of the team, or frankly, be a good manager of the team if I didn't start and know everything. So I kind of committed myself to starting at the most junior levels of the company. I first worked and ran a manufacturing department on the manufacturing business. Then I sort of advanced to run multiple manufacturing departments and kind of work my way up. But that was the only way, at least for me, that I was going to earn the respect of my coworkers, and also, feel like I could be a good contributor. And that was kind of the way it went down.
That's fantastic. I mean, so how many employees do you think when you joined? How many employees did the company have at that juncture?
You know, I would sort of think about it like this, and then I'll kind of get to the numbers. At the time I joined the company in 2010, we had one manufacturing facility / distribution center in Hicksville. It was a commingled facility. And then we had a distribution center in Florida, and we had another one in Michigan. So we had roughly 3 distribution centers. One of those was a shared manufacturing distribution facility. And then separately, we had, the manufacturing facility. It was a piece of the overall business. So in terms of, I guess, real estate terms of square footage, we probably had, let's call it 200,000 or 300,000 square feet, and across the various facilities. And then team member wise, something in the order of magnitude of 300 to 400 people will probably be
right. Say a couple hundred.
Yeah, it is kind of the zip code.
And now over the last 10 years, you've built that to what, 1,100 team members?
Yeah, well, not just me. I mean,
the whole team.
It's a team game. So each one of us. So what I was gonna, your sort of story about the oars is really funny. You said that because we use the analogy of being in a boat all the time. We say everyone's in the boat, and we're all kind of in the boat together, and we all have a job to do. So that's actually a discussion or an analogy we use all the time. So it was very, very poignant that was the sort of the story you told, which was pretty cool. But anyway, so team game. So my role in the business is I run our customization business, which we'll talk about, and then I also run our business development strategy and M&A. And then my brother Travis, who's another member of the second generation, runs the day-to-day of our distribution business, as well as our finance function, is kind of a deputy to my uncle on the IT side of our business. My brother Garret runs the day-to-day of our confectionery.
He's my favorite. Yeah.
Runs the day-to-day of our confectionery manufacturing business. And yes, he is a wonderful name, although 2 T's, not 1 T.
Yes.
And then
is Spencer in the business too?
And then Spencer's in too. So Spencer runs our gourmet food and natural food business. And that's kind of his bailiwick. And then my dad and uncle are still active in the company. My dad is our chairman. He's our chairman. He's our CEO of the overall holding company, and is responsible for all key, financial decisions, as well as some stuff on the business front, as well as the personal front. And then my uncle is responsible for key customer relationships, marketing, and IT. And then some stuff on the purchasing side as well. That's kind of the way this sort of ship works.
Your dad's a riot. I mean, Les is just larger than life character. I mean, I remember your wedding. First of all, the dessert, Dougie, was just incredible. It just kept coming. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it just every 5 minutes another dessert came out. And then I don't know if your dad said it to me or in part of his speech, but he kept referring to you and Rach. He'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Meshuggah. It just always cracked me up. I mean, and I know my dad has spent many times with your dad also through YPO. So what I thought, because there's a lot of different arms to your business. So just give us a overall understanding of because you're in 3 or 4 different, maybe even more businesses now. And some of the names kind of blend together. Just give us kind of the overview of the different channels there.
Yeah, totally. So, so the business, the way I described it, is the business really has 4 principal parts to it. We have our specialty confectionery distribution business, which was the original company that's grown. So that business is an importer, manufacturer, and distributor of thousands of specialty candy items that you'll find at various specialty retailers, the Dillon's Candy Bars, the Sugars of the world, and then lots and lots of other specialty outlets throughout North America, and then at some points in other locations as well. Then we have our confectionery manufacturing business, where we produce confectionery products for the largest retailers in the country, both all natural, non-GMO type products for the sort of the Whole Foods crowd, and then separately, specialty products for the specialty markets, maybe Candy by Color, or which I see you sort of going through, or specialty products you might find for the holidays, a bark, for example, in the shape of a star as opposed to a conventional slab bark, etc. So a range of specialty products. Then we have our gourmet food and natural food business, where we import, distribute, and source products, everything from cheeses, meats, pastas, sauces, like we just talked about, to better for you products, chips, bars, other sort of natural or better for you products that you'll find in specialty grocery or corporate food service or other markets like that. And then the last part of the business is our customization business, which has been my baby. And what that business is a roll up of 9 companies that we bought over time that are manufacturers, importers, developers of items that can be customized to build full programs and product collections across the corporate, travel and resort, and other specialty markets. So like that really cute Maine sweatshirt you're wearing, we have the exact same item we make. And
when you say, Lance, when you say collections, to me, that's like a hot word right now. Everywhere I go, whether it's in the It's Sugars of the world or other places, it's this combination of items, right? You're getting the sweatshirt, but you're also, my wife's going to buy the coffee mug too. And it's filled with Hershey Kisses, right? Is that something that's new or something that you're really pushing? I'm seeing that now everywhere, collections.
Yeah. Well, hopefully if we're doing our job, you're seeing a lot of ours out there. So.
I don't know if I knew everyone was yours, I would buy it every time. I just don't know everyone because they're branded as different things, of course.
No, it's all good. So the concept of collections is a big idea for us. And it's been a trajectory we've been on. So over the last 10 years, we've built a company that's an importer, manufacturer, and developer of apparel, hard goods, health and beauty items, lip balm, sanitizer, etc., confectionery items, mints, chocolates, bags, drinkware, etc. We use the acronym GET AHEAD. So apparel, health and beauty, edible, accessories, drinkware, and in our customization business, we say get ahead. So we've built this model of getting ahead, and then we layer that product, or we layer that range of products, and we put artwork on top of that. So when we talk about collections, if you're in a Yellowstone National Park, for example, we'll take a hoodie and imprint it with Yellowstone on the front or the chest or wherever you want to do the imprint. Like you showed a center chest imprint on your main sweatshirt, a multicolor imprint, but pair that with a drinkware item, which has a Yellowstone imprint, with a confectionery item that might be the shape of something iconic within Yellowstone, with a bag that'll be imprinted Yellowstone, and we'll pull it all together as a collection, so that when you, as a retailer, merchandise that collection, you're going to, as you mentioned, your wife shopping for those sort of things, you'll say, oh my God, it's so cute. I can get the hat that matches the shirt, that matches the water bottle, that matches the confectionery items. And that's kind of been our thing. And so we've built out these collections, both domestically and overseas. So we now have about 250,000 square feet of customization space, where we are able to take in artwork and or design and develop artwork, and then create full programs. And those go both in the retail and specialty markets like we just talked about, but also in the corporate markets. It's the same discussion when you're talking to a major corporate marketing department or a major brand, and they want to create a back to work kit or a identity kit or whatever, corporate identity kit or whatever it might be, where they want to create some great artwork that gets laid up on a range of products, a hoodie, a water bottle, etc., and built into a kit that has been a very big concept in the corporate markets. It's been kitting and combining stuff, particularly as at home's been big. So anyway, that's how our customization business works. So range of products plus art plus design plus importing in various specialty markets. And that,
I think I'm actually I think I've been a customer. I mean, this is the product that I bought a couple years ago. This is this was a Salons by JC custom Oreo cookie box you made for me. That was a holiday gift. I saved this. Look how good this still looks. This is the Salons by JC chocolate covered pretzels, right? Dougie, you got this?
Oh, yeah.
I'm rotating it. Can you see it? So this was, I think Julie in your office helped me with this, Lance, or Julian. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, Julie's correct. Yeah.
Yep. And she did a great job. I mean, she customized this. These were, obviously this one I kept myself and never opened. I was saving it, but these were a hit. So, I mean, what do you think are the popular products now? I mean, I imagine this probably took a little bit of a hit coming out of the pandemic, but let's pretend the pandemic didn't happen, 2019, 2021, 22. What do you see as kind of the exciting corporate gifts that you're getting into? I know you had recently done a big deal with M&Ms. That was really exciting for your family.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So I'm sure this word you've heard a million times because you're talking to entrepreneurs all the time, the word pivot, which to me is like so overplayed, but I'll use it as well. So we were fortunate in 2018. One of the companies we bought was a company called Lanco, which was in the promotional products business, but it was largely focused on non-edibles. So as we built this platform, the first 6 acquisitions we did were edible based, and then the last 3 were non-edible, both apparel as well as hard goods, health and beauty, et cetera. Anyway, we were fortunate that one of the companies we bought in 2017 or 18, it's a company called Lanco. And the reason we were fortunate is that business had roughly 2% of its company was in the hand sanitizer business, hand sanitizer filling business.
You're
and
kidding.
So last year, when the pandemic hit, we obviously had kind of like the bones to building a sanitizer business because it was 2% of revenue of that company, but we didn't really have the pieces in place. So from, let's say, March 7 or 8, when I got my first phone call, actually it goes back a little bit further than that. I'm an active skier, so we were in Telluride skiing in February of 20. I'm sorry. And,
right, pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah, and I get a phone call from my sourcing team, and they're complaining that we can't get a component out of China. At the time, it was a stick for lip balm. It was like the plastic pieces that we make lip balm, the 2 pieces that go together to make a lip balm stick.
Sure.
And they were saying we can't get the components, and I was like, guys, Chinese New Year's is over. I don't really know what you're saying, because if those of you are in the import business, you know that when you import a product out of China, there's a period of time called Chinese New Year when the factory is shut down, and I think people go back to their homes, and they sort of take time off. So I said, guys, Chinese New Year's over. Where's the product? And they could not give me an answer. This went on for like 3 weeks. Finally, we're in Telluride, and something went off in my head, and I said, you know what? Something's not right.
It's not right. Something's not right. Right.
And we've been in the manufacturing business for a long time. And something's not right here. So 2 weeks later, I'm on an airplane. I'd been in Texas working on something. We're meeting with a company called Landry's Corporation, who's a big customer of our souvenir business. And I'm coming back on the airplane, and I still cannot get these plastics. But now the plastic problem goes from my lip balm business into my sanitizer business. Now I can get the plastics that I need to fill sanitizer bottles with. So I'm like, I've got a problem here. Well, anyway, on the airplane back from Landry's, and this is like, proverbial back of the napkin, but this literally was the back of a napkin, or like the back of American Way magazine or something like that. I took out the mag, and I
you probably shouldn't touch those magazines on the airplane now, right, Dougie?
True.
You probably should wipe those down. All right, go ahead, Lance.
So I wrote in the back of that publication an item that I knew we could make. So we were fortunate that we're in the flexographic printing business, which is printing film, which is actually how we print some of the things you showed me. So we're in the flexographic printing business. So we were able to take, and we had a ton of film stock. And I knew how to get sanitizer because I understood how to make it, meaning how to buy the ethyl alcohol, convert it, blah, blah, into gel. So I knew that, and we had film. So I kind of said on the airplane, the only item we're going to be able to make for the next, I don't know, forever long I can figure it out, is going to be a gel pack. So we created this item that was like a 0.2 ounce gel pack, this like single serve gel pack. And that was our item. And we went out and initially we started making it in-house, and then we contracted out capacity. And then we started lining up the supply chain around ethyl, because ethyl supply became very tight. And we ended up sort of spinning up this business in the span of, like, I don't know, from the time I was on the flight from Texas to the time I landed in New York, we ended up spinning up this business maybe in a week. And it became like the lifeboat for our promotional products business. Because to your point, as events started getting canceled and, trade shows weren't happening and golf events, all the things that we'd planned for, summer events were not happening. This item, this 0.2 ounce gel pack item, and our network of co-packers, et cetera, kind of became the lifeboat for the company. So our team was fortunate to do that thing. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it, but in the span of 4 weeks, we sold 14 million of those little things.
Oh my God. How did you sell them? Like packs of 10 or 20 or 50, 100?
Yeah, it was a box of 1,000, and we sold 14 million packs in the span of like 4 weeks. And anyway, we ended up selling 40 million of those over that period from business that didn't exist. So,
created it out of thin air.
Yeah, actually on the back of a dirty magazine, probably. But the
dirty air in the airplane, recirculated pre-COVID.
Yeah, but anyway, so the reason I'm telling you that story, Garrett, is that the ability for our whole team to kind of rally around that. The really funny story was what my CFO said to me. This guy Paul Chacon has been with me a long time. On the day I came back, I mean, he's also oversees he's our CFO, but he also oversees a part of our supply chain. And I said to him, I said, Paul, I got this crazy idea. I'm trying to think about this. Can we spin this thing up? What are we talking about? And he goes, I feel like we're back in 2012, 13 all over again. So what was really interesting, it kind of gave our team a battle test. And as an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs that are listening to this should know this, we had an unfortunately crazy experience in 2013, I believe, or 2012 with Hurricane Sandy. At the time, we were operating a business in Freeport, Long Island, that had 6 feet of salt water in the confectionery, in the manufacturing business. And when that happened, the Hurricane Sandy hit on October 29th. And at the time, 75% of our revenue, this is the first company that we bought of these 9 or 10 companies, that business was 75% of the revenue was those last 3 months of the year. And
Sure. Holiday. Yeah.
Holiday. And we were sitting there with what's called pre-build. So in order to produce that amount of product in that short period of time, you have to pre-produce product. And so we were sitting there with our pre-build ready to go, and our team was ready to go, et cetera. And then Hurricane Sandy came and sort of destroyed all those plans. And we were in a situation where we had 6 feet of salt water in our production facility. We had employees, displaced. We had 75 pieces of equipment that were damaged, et cetera, et cetera. And we were effectively pretty darn close to out of business in that business.
In that business, yeah.
And at that time, we sort of rallied the team together, and each one of us took a function. I was kind of, the quarterback, but I took a function. My function was equipment and inventory, and I had somebody else who was responsible for calling the customers. Our business president, David Miller, was responsible for calling the customers. And anyway, we sort of triaged this thing. And in the span of 19 days, we went from a business that was non-functional to going and making it functional, and then ended up shipping about 85% of our demand that holiday season when we had no pre-build, our equipment was limping along, et cetera, et cetera. And that sort of story not only helped us, keep that company afloat and fortunately saved a lot of jobs, but in addition to that, it kind of battle tested us. So during last March, our CFO and Paul Chacon said to me, he said, we've done this once before. So it kind of gave me confidence that we could do it again. And so fortunately, a lot of the team members at the senior leadership level who had been with us during the Sandy sort of aftermath, in that Sandy aftermath, are with us now today. And so the team kind of came together and kind of made it happen again. And obviously I'm super proud of it and all that good stuff. And so that's kind of the perspective. So fortunately, it has not been a catastrophic 2 years in that business from a business perspective, right. Thank God. But that being said, when we look at sort of the landscape of stuff, and we step back, I'll kind of comment to you by category. So in the edible business, what's really interesting in corporate gifting right now is, and this is true, by the way, across the entire market, fewer events, but higher spend per gift. So people are saying, if I'm not going to be giving out your 250 $1 water bottles because that event's not happening, or $1 right. pens or whatever, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top 50 clients and I'm going to buy them something awesome and memorable so that I stay top of mind with that client, in this period of time. So what we've seen is a very big trade up in from a product perspective. So what that means in the edible space is, our premium chocolate items, things that are sort of at home family shareable experiences. Kitting has been a big concept this past year. So we just rolled out a whole line of, wood cutting boards that are, gorgeous wood cutting boards with gourmet foods on top of them and really beautiful stuff.
Yeah. I think we did the pizzas at home a few times, right? Yeah. The pizza kit, we've done that where we made the pizza at home. I could see you doing a pizza stone with the family name on it or something, or put it together. Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And then also brands. I mean, brands have been a big idea. You mentioned M&Ms. Sure. Brands have been a big idea pre-pandemic. During the pandemic, they've accelerated, and I expect them to continue to accelerate, because when the world is chaotic and topsy-turvy, people look for calm waters and stability. So we've seen this in our confectionery business where nostalgia has been strong, and we've seen this in our promotional business where brands have been strong. So we have brand partners, Mrs. Fields, Godiva, M&M Mars, and some others, where people have come to us for those brands because they want to know, if they're going to do this one event for their top clients, they want to know the product they're going to send them is going to be well recognized, well received, quality product, etc. And brands have kind of been, that sort of zenith for this sort of thing. So that's a big thing in edible. Outside of edible, let's say in the hard goods space, sustainability has been a big concept. So, for example, if people are talking more and more about elimination of single-use water bottles, or single-use plastic, are talking more about reusable substrates, bamboo, items like that, wheat straw. So things of that nature have been hot on the reusable side. On the apparel side of our business, it's interesting. There's a real dichotomy between fabrics that are people have. I mean, maybe you have, because I know you went to Orange Theory this morning, but people have gained weight during the pandemic. So you've seen, beefy tees have been hot, but at the same time,
what's a beefy tee? I'm sorry, I don't think the audience knows what a beefy tee is.
It's an oversized, non-cut tee. So as opposed to like a form-fitting tee that gotcha. Somebody with your gorgeous physique might enjoy. Yeah. A beefy tee is an oversized, it's an oversized tee. It's a classic, old school cotton T-shirt. And so for years, what you were seeing in the apparel business was a shift from fabrics that were 100% cotton to blends of all sorts, those softer tees and stuff like that. Anyway, we've seen an interesting dichotomy in the apparel business where people are buying more and more beefy tees because of what I just mentioned to you, but also the same trend is happening as in the edible business where people are looking for those better products. So brands are super strong. We own a brand in the apparel business called Ace USA. Our Ace USA business has been, fortunately lights out from a brand perspective because people are looking for, quality products and quality fabrics. And so it's just interesting. Depending upon the use, you are seeing that category picked up. I see that Jabrana is not a huge fan of the beefy tee, but
Gabrana had a question earlier that I skipped over. I can't read it because my eyes are.
I got you. You kind of just answered it. Yeah. And she said, how has the rise in health food and people eating less sugar affected the business over the 20 years? People are, eating less and less sugar, but you kind of just answered that, how you said, you're putting in different types of food in your packages.
Yeah. Well, I can go through that in about 2 seconds. I just want to finish just the other.
Go ahead.
The other market comments. So
the Ace Mints, you were saying the Ace.
Right. So then in the health and beauty business, which we run, people are looking for experiences. So whether it's, we're rolling out this holiday season an item that I'm pretty pumped about, which is it's an experience set. And what it is, which is kind of amazing, I'm pretty pumped about, is it's going to be a chocolate candle with a chocolate item with a chocolate scented lip balm. So this whole experience is like multi-sensory and multifaceted. And we're doing the same thing with Mrs. Fields with a cookie flavor, lip balm, candle, et cetera, et cetera. So this multi-category, multifaceted thing. And the other thing going on in the health and beauty spaces, aside from obviously the boom that has happened in sanitizer, but sort of that is moderated a little bit. But the other thing going on in those sort of spaces is people are looking at, stress relievers. So aromatherapy is a big concept. And so we're doing more and more in the eucalyptuses and stuff like that as well, that, flavors that are less, interestingly, people have gravitated more towards those type of flavors, what I would say are more like, spa type scents, than things that may have been cherry, for example. Cherry is softer, eucalyptus is stronger, which is just, maybe that's just our experience, but in the corporate markets, but that's been our experience. So that's kind of the thing. And then all the other thing I should mention is sustainable fabric. So the same way that drinkware has been about sustainable fabrics are a big idea. They're more expensive than conventional fabrics. So recycled, rPET, which is a recycled polyethylene, or various types of fabrics or materials that are converted into apparel, bags, etc., are definitely being asked for more and more in the marketplace. It's always a divide, though, a question about how far people want to go with sustainability. Everybody's an evangelist until they see the price, type of thing. And so it's always a divide about how far you want to go, and different companies fall on the spectrum of evangelical to less focused on certain things.
I know. I'm going to jump in, Dougie. I know someone, I'm not going to mention who loves to save the environment, but the minute that paper straw starts melting in his or her pina colada or strawberry daiquiri, they are pissed.
Wow.
And frankly, I feel the same way. Like, you're spending, at a hotel or resort over $10 on a fancy drink on vacation. You want to get more than halfway finished with your drink before the straw can stop working.
True.
So I know that's just a small kind of, silly thing, but I know exactly what you're talking about in that regard. I can relate to that. Lance, I wanted to shift over because I know we're going to run out of time. I want to try to finish up with something I call the reverse resume.
Okay.
And there's a great YPO resource, John Choate, that spoke to one of the groups, and he was a Navy SEAL, and he talked about when someone comes in for a job interview, they put out this incredible resume. I finished first in my class from Naval Academy. I did this, I did that. I was top producer. I created all the sales, but they don't tell you about when they fell on their face. They don't tell you about the failures, the challenges. Part of our podcast here is being transparent, being authentic, and understanding that a lot of times the journey is the secret to success. So I was hoping you could share with us something that may have occurred to you over the past couple of years where you made a mistake. You tried a new business line, you bought a business, and it just wasn't what you thought it was. Where did you kind of have call it a screw up or a fall down, and then how'd you pick yourself back up?
Yeah, great question. And you're right. I like selling more than I do playing defense, but we'll play defense for a second. So in terms of the couple things that I'll give sort of two things that I think are definitely reverse resume type things. Number one is when you're in the M&A business, as much as you try to bat, 100 for 100, sometimes you're not 100 for 100. So we've had, and I've seen this movie now 2 or 3 times, and I've learned from it. I think probably after the 3rd time, I've learned from it, which is just because a business is well priced and has a good opportunity doesn't mean it's a deal you should always do. And what I mean by that is one of the things we've learned really importantly is we have failed when we try to buy companies and the management team and the entrepreneur doesn't come along, for the ride with us to grow and build a business. We've succeeded where we're able to keep, that team member on the team. And I think the reason that is because there's so much tribal knowledge and so much experience and so much leadership and just so much heart that goes into growing and building, small entrepreneurial companies. We typically buy companies that are between, let's call it 5 and 25 million of revenue. There's so much that goes into that early days of building, growing that business that, we failed as a company where we say, you know what, we can meld this with our existing team and we're going to take this on and we're going to do it. We failed. And so I think one of my lessons is that, and we've kind of changed this in our approach, is we won't buy businesses unless the team's staying on. We won't do it. That's a deal killer for us.
Gotcha.
The other sort of reverse resume thing is in management. One of the things I always try to do my best with and really try to do, and try to be really, really focused about it and good about this is how to best set up, how to best manage our team members for success. So whether it's, if you have a function, how do you set it up so that you have the right number of people in the function, the right number of people supporting the function, the right number of people around the function, and then how do you do that? It's to be both entrepreneurial, but also build the right repeatable process. And I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. I know about this from YPO, like we're both active in, Garret, and some other stuff, is that it's always a struggle for me in defining when to be entrepreneurial and when to be process driven. And it's a complete, for me, it's a push pull. And I know that for others in our company, it's a push pull. And I think the other sort of reverse resume thing is sometimes we've tried to go too fast and not built the proper infrastructure. And sometimes, we've said, let's go out and let's try to put too much on our team and not build the proper infrastructure. So I would say, and my other big learning is as we've scaled the company, sometimes you have to make the investments to build the baseline to then give you that next level of growth, as opposed to waiting until you're in, the movie to sort of then put the pieces in place. And I think that that's just a struggle for any entrepreneur, is trying to decide when to make those investments.
Got it. So I think I discovered the secret sauce, Dougie. I want to see if we've got it here.
Wow.
Maybe Lance can help us. But Lance's team is putting everybody in the boat, right? Mm-hmm. They're throwing away their egos. They're saying, we're all going to be in the boat. We're all going to have a role, right? We're all going to have a job to go down that river. Mm-hmm. And, someone's going to have the role of being the quarterback, which Lance had to do during Hurricane Sandy and going through that fiasco. And of course, came up with the idea on the airplane on the back of the Dirty magazine with the sanitizer gel packs. You make it sound a lot dirtier when you say it like that. It's dirty. I mean, my wife was wiping down all that stuff years ago when she got on the plane. So, part of the success here is being able to pivot quickly, but letting your team know that we're all going to do it together. And no matter that I'm the quarterback or I'm the junior executive or whatever the role may be, everyone has an equal role in getting down that river. Just like I was stuck and needed Juliet to help me row back to the hotel, in Kennebunkport, Lance's team had to assemble this kind of no ego driven job of how are we going to get out of 6 feet of salt water in our warehouse. And they all kind of jumped in this boat together. And he says, let's get ahead, let's go. But they pivoted quickly. They realized, hey, we got a problem here, right? And everybody left their ego at the door. Lance picked up responsibilities that maybe he hadn't done recently and had to go source equipment, et cetera, and negotiate different things with suppliers. And it sounds like for very much many years that's been the secret sauce to his family. Lance, can you add on to that? Is that somewhere online there?
I think you're spot on. I think I think the key is if you put your head down every single day and you wake up in the morning and at the end of the day, I personally feel a responsibility to our team members, to my family, et cetera, to build a good business, but also to provide jobs, provide opportunities, to be there to pick people up if things are not as good, to cheerlead when things are good, et cetera. I kind of feel that responsibility from the seat that I sit in. And I think that part of what it comes down to is every single day approaching your vendors, your customers, people in your business with sort of a long-term perspective. Look, things go well, things go less well. But as long as you treat people with integrity, respect, et cetera, and you approach the things you're doing every day with a certain discipline and rinse and repeat, you can do those things. And I think also being a person is very important. I think, we all have families, we all have stuff going on, there are good things, there are less good things, but we're kind of all, I think, Garrett, you're right, is we're all in this boat together. And, some days, you're going to be the star, and some days you're just the helper. And we're all passing this baton, from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And I know you said, me, but it's really not me. It's each one of us has a role. I do what I do, and then each one of us does his or her roles, whether it's my siblings, whether it's our team. And hopefully at the end of the day, we all, play the right tunes in the orchestra, and then they can come out great. Or frankly, if they don't come out great, we course correct and we fix it. And that's kind of how we do it.
But the human element, Dougie, is so important. Lance never referred to the employees as employees. He called them team members from the beginning of this podcast. See, you got to stay on the podcast all the way to the end to get the magic, right?
Oh, yeah.
To get the secret sauce.
Absolutely.
So he always calls them team members. What that underlines and says to them is, my role is no more important than your role. When we're in that boat together, it's the rowing together. And that's the secret that makes the boat go. And you're only as strong as, if you have one day where you have one team member whose hand fell off, you've got to go over there and help him or her out, right? And row twice as strong. So Lance, I appreciate that. Last kind of funny story. When we were on vacation, we were playing this game where you kind of go around the table and you say names of different things. It could be cereals, it could be beers, and whatever it may be. We happened to choose Candies, and we went around a lot, and then you're out when you can't name something. I'm sure a lot of families have played this game. So, Lance, what would be one of your favorite candies? I know you've got this great nostalgia brand. It's probably hard to pick a favorite, but do you have a favorite candy from the old days?
I do, yeah. No, my favorite candy obviously is one we make. It's our 73% dark chocolate almond. Which is that's my number one. So I love dark chocolate, and I love the quality almond we use.
Dark chocolate. All right, good. I used to love the button candies. Growing up, right? Is that what they're called? Do I get the name right? Candy buttons.
Candy buttons. Yeah. You
guys sell these too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. These were fun. I mean, and my kids, I watch my kids eat these and devour these too. So the last thing we're going to do in closing, Lance, is our lightning round, where we're going to ask you a couple questions, put you on the spot with a timer, and just have fun with it. Don't overthink it. These are the questions that we ask to all of our guests on the Get Up with Garret podcast. I got to find the question. I have them.
You got them?
I got them. I've got three. Lance gave me so many good stories here. I've got 3 pages of notes.
Wow. Nice.
So are you ready with the timer?
I'm ready.
All right, Lance. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Okay. So what's a favorite business book that you'd recommend to a up and coming entrepreneur?
Outliers.
Okay. Who would you trust to take you to space more? Branson, Bezos, or Elon Musk?
Rachel Stier.
I love vanity plates on Instagram. So if you had a vanity plate, Lance, what would your vanity plate be?
Candy swag, man.
Candy swagger. Okay, and then last question. What's a goal that you want me to remind you of a year from now?
Our timer. I bet.
Balance, family, work, and hopefully success.
All right, that's it.
We got one more, actually. It's a Ted Lasso question from Jessica.
We have one more.
First and best concert.
First and best concert.
Ooh,
that's from Ted Lasso.
First concert, Dave Matthews Band, at Jones Beach in, I can't remember when, but must have been Under the Table and Dreaming tour. And best concert, great question. Let's say Counting Crows, Hammerstein Ballroom with Rachel, many years ago.
Awesome. I got to say thanks to my wife. That is a huge shout out, because I actually remember that on the show.
Yeah.
And looking at her and saying, that's a great question for the lightning round.
Yeah.
Totally forgot. And wow, I mean,
comes in clutch.
Blown away by my wife at the last minute, saving me there with a
no-look pass.
That is a no-look pass.
Yeah.
Lance, I can't thank you enough for spending this time today with us. I know how busy you are. And there's our buddy Nabil. Look at that.
Drop one of our old dear buddies, Nabil Kassam, just texted in. Love you, miss you guys. Nabil and I did a Harvard Business School class together during the last couple months, which was super fun. And I think, if I remember correctly, the name of the business, for some reason I used Nabil's last name instead of the entrepreneur's last name, and he was correcting me. It was pretty funny, but I love him. Garret, we had the best time together. I don't know if all your listeners know this, but after we graduated college, Garret and I and Nabil and some others were in something called the Young Adult Forum, where it was kind of the formative days of our early professional career, and it was kind of, for me, a really important thing. And Nabil, it's good to see you too, buddy.
That is so amazing right there. Thanks for saying hi, Nabil. And I mean, look, we've been fortunate to be in this YPO group, which is for entrepreneurs that have their own business. But there are so many other networking organizations that young entrepreneurs can get into with a small business that are starting up. There's basic meetup groups, right? There's Facebook groups. Then there's other things like, Vistage and GoBundance. I mean, there's tons of different things. Lance and I happen to love the YPO, the Young Presidents Organization. He was talking about the earlier days of that. Was called the Young Adult Forum. That was a different group that was kind of a child group of that, or adolescent, young graduate group of that we had a lot of great time together. And I always appreciate that time, Lance, and just growing up together and talking shop. That I'm always here for you, like I know you are for me. If we ever wanted to talk shop like we did this morning about business and the future of my business, you're someone that I would always drop whatever I'm doing and take your call and have coffee and have a beer. And I just want to thank you so much for contributing all of this great knowledge to our listeners and to young people that are getting started up that can, kind of look in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? These guys did it. We can do it. We're no different as well. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, Garret, it's been really great. I appreciate it. I think it's really important for your listeners to know the reason, and I feel the same way, by the way, but you've always been somebody, and I think it's important for the audience to know this, who's always led with intelligence, but also integrity. And, I respect you immensely. And I think that for any entrepreneur, it's very important to remember that, you could have a great idea or a great business, but, being a good person and having integrity is going to kind of help you run that marathon. So anyway, thank you very much for having me, and real pleasure to see you guys.
You got it. Thanks, Lance. And if anybody wants to connect with Lance, right, we had the
Absolutely.
Instagram from Nassau Candy. Mm-hmm. You can also you can send a message or connect with Lance personally on LinkedIn. He's active on LinkedIn, all the different companies that he's in. But on the Instagram, thanks for sharing that, Nassau Candy. So Dougie Bricks, we do it again. We unlock on this one. It's the secret ingredients because you don't have sauce in the candy.
I might have a T-shirt idea right now.
You have a good T-shirt.
Summing up this podcast or this conversation, the secret sauce is best made on a boat with your team members.
There you go. I mean, I didn't know that's where that was going to go.
Yeah,
and
your paddle broke, so it all came full circle.
And row your boat.
Row your boat.
Harper wants a lullaby. So that's it. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and very excited to watch the NFL kickoff this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter, I would say in closing note, no matter how your team performs this weekend, just remember what Ted Lasso always says. Right? You got to believe.
Got to believe.
You got to believe.
I think I'm going to put a believe sign above my door right here.
And football is life. Football is life. All right, guys. We will see you in a few weeks. Next episode. Thanks for getting up with Garrett.